I pretty much almost have this thing wrapped up. A couple things here and there. That's got not connected. The valve cover's not painted. This is all pretty much ran. Some wires are missing because they need to go on the truck. We got to put our balancer on. Balancer dampener. We got to put that on. And we got to do the overhead on the engine. I had to get this tool from Cummins for the Jakes. It's a 7mm feeler gauge. That's how you adjust the engine brakes. I think what I'm going to do next real quick is we're going to put the flywheel and the clutch on it. I haven't done that yet. The harness is all routed nice. I got a new crank sensor. I still got to put that in all the way. And everything over here is done. These wires connect to the turbo, cables, whatever. This connects to the turbo. All this stuff that's kind of out of the way right now. Water passage is still missing. That is for the NOx sensor. That goes behind the turbo. My turbo is done, but they didn't calibrate the actuator for me, and they're supposed to, and the actuator wasn't on a turbo, so I didn't pick it up today. We're gonna go pick it up tomorrow. I still have to do the fuel pump head, which is over there in the garage, but I need to find the right size socket. I did get some more engine paint, so we're gonna touch that up a little bit and clean it up some more. Other than that, let's just get to freaking work. This flywheel is kind of a pain in the butt to put on because there's no dowels for it. So you almost kind of got to do it like a tire. Yes, we'll get our fingerprints off of it after we get it in here. We got our spacer on there still for our pilot bearing. And you guys are wondering, oh, you're messing this up. You're mad, dude. You didn't surface the flywheel. Why should I? I'm reusing the clutch. Don't need to resurface the flywheel if I'm going to reuse the clutch. So we're not surfacing the flywheel. We're going to start it with 4 bolts, and we should be all right.
194. And then we're going to do 184. No Loctite. Some guys like to use Loctite. No Loctite. We're pretty close with the impact on the first pass. All right, let's get the big boy.
Button.
So we got to seat this clutch first before we can torque it. Make sure it's flat. See how it's, you guys probably can't see it, but these fingers are getting flat. That's it. I just gotta get a torque wrench and torque it. See how these are nice and flat? Our disc is in there. Our clutch is lined up. We'll be, after we torque it, we'll remove our centering tool. All right, 45 to 50 foot-pounds is what those call for. And you gotta go in a crisscross pattern. Eaton doesn't like to do this because they never anticipate you putting on a used clutch. But we're not Eaton, and I guarantee you it's gonna work. So it's gonna work. Don't you fret. Nothing. Alignment tool's out, clutch is in, so we're good. So you can buy this on Amazon. This is the part number. I believe, well, I know, because Eaton makes the clutches for the DT12s now, and I think the Volvo I-Shift even. This Eaton clutch is a 17-inch clutch. It's a single disc. This is a 18-inch by 2-inch, 18 count spline by 2-inch. It's your alignment tool, okay? Without this, you can't really put this clutch on because the transmission will not go in there. So, as you see, the transmission has to go in there, and this clutch disc has to align. And it's got to go inside the pilot bearing, the input shaft. So, without this, and not being able to align it, this stub goes into the pilot bearing. So if you don't align it, you'll never get your input shaft in, and you'll never get your transmission on when you put your clutch on. Now, you saw me struggle bust with this. That's because this clutch is heavy. This pressure plate is heavy. You need a jack to put this on. Now, when you do them new, these bolts are caged, and they have these standoff bolts and alignment dowels. I have alignment dowels, but I'm retarded, and they're not long enough. So I just have to struggle a little bit with it and be careful, and we got it on. So if there's a will, there's a way. How much does this clutch weigh? I think they said about 150 pounds. And I believe the bulk of it is this pressure plate. That disc is fairly light. So we got her on. This fits perfectly in. So when we put our transmission in, we won't have a problem. Now, it's getting dark. I really wanted to run the rack today. Rack. Why do I keep telling this? This ain't no freaking Detroit. Wanted to run the overhead on it, but I don't think we're going to get to that. So we'll do that in the morning. My neighbor thinks that he wants to help me do this tomorrow. Maybe we can still swing this engine in, but I want to run this overhead outside, and I still need to put the pump on. So maybe we won't get to it till Wednesday. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. But the clutch is on, flywheel's on, it's all torqued. Everything here looks perfect. These fingers are flat where they need to be for our pressure plate. This clutch will work. This isn't the way you're supposed to do this. Because again, nobody anticipates you putting a clutch that you've already used before back on the truck. So there's really no other way of doing this other than just slamming it on and just going little by little all the way around to that pressure plate and those fingers seat. Believe me, everything's the wrong way of doing things, but it still works. So we've come to the overhead. This is a 7mm for our Jakes, a feeler gauge, I guess you could call it. So we're gonna bar the engine over, and on your dampener, you have these. Now we're on C. And this is a 3/4 inch extension. So right now, we're on our pin. This is our A timing mark. As you can see. So you're lining it up with this. There's a little notch. And then this is our pin mark for our crank. So we'd be able to pin our crank right now. And this is our number 1A. So we're gonna just go a little bit. So there we go. Now we're gonna check which valve's loose. So we're not on number 1 because I can see that this one's down. So we have number 6, that's on base circle of the cam. So right now we could set number 6. So 153,624, I believe. 153,624. Yes, 153,624 is the firing order. So the whole point of this is you could set this overhead with just 2 revolutions of that, of your engine. So right now we are on A, but we're on the, I believe, the compression stroke of number 1. So we have to rotate this again all the way over to A. That way we can start with our number 1. Because right now we have number 6 is on base. So I don't want to start with number 6. Although I could and just work my way back and forth, you know, but I kind of want to start from here and go this way. Now, this is our Jake tool. So the way this works is the Jake is supposed to have a 7mm shim lash gauge, right? So like this is normal. You want this play. When this energizes this gets tight and goes duh, 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 duh. But in order to be able to check it, you need something like so. Now, I can't even get this in, so we're tight. So we're gonna loosen that guy up. But for now, we're gonna keep rotating it over, start number 1, and go so and so. And then when you get to B, you can do number 5, and so on, and you get it. I'll explain that guy as I go. All right, so we're on letter A. Look how tight that intake valve is. The exhaust is okay. I mean, I'm sure, but look how tight that intake valve is. Holy crap. So the whole point of this A, B, C is so you can do on number A, you got to know your firing order. 1, 5, 3, 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. Okay. So on A, you can do 1 and you do 6. Okay. Currently right now, number number 6 is on compression. Intake valve is open, well, compression, whatever. It's on a stroke. I don't know which one. I'm retarded. But number one is ready to set lash. So then we go to B, and you can do number 5, because that's our next firing order. And then when we go to C, we'll do number 3. Get it? 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. Then we go roll over to A again. We can do 6. Then we'll go over to B and we can do 2. And then we can do 4, because that's our firing order on C. So that's how that works. But right now we are on number 1 base circle, and that all looks really, really tight. The Jake is okay, so maybe a little bit loose. So we'll tighten that guy up a little bit. Let me get my feeler gauges for these guys. I know this guy is really, really tight. I could already tell that this guy is really, really tight. So we're going to set this. And yes, it's a new cylinder head, but the rockers are old. The cam is from the old head. So I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that this engine was just running that tight. Now, you don't want your valves that tight. You want to, that's why you want the clearance on them. So we're going to find our feeler gauges and we're going to adjust. This guy's so tight, it won't even budge. They're all pretty tight. For what it's freaking supposed to be, they're really tight. So we got to loosen our jam knot, 3/4 inch. We're loosen our valve up. So you want a little bit of drag like this. So we're gonna lock her down right there. And I need 2 hands for this because I need to tighten this jam knot against that. So I'm happy with that. That's good 14. And we're gonna do exhaust in a second. All right, that's all nice and tight. It ain't going anywhere. Well, you want to get all that oil out from underneath it too. 14 thousandths feeler gauge, nice and draggy. And yes, this is what you want. You want that. That was way too tight. Now, I'm not going to say that this was Cummins' fault. I mean, this is a brand new cylinder head. So now we're going to go ahead and do our exhaust. And I know that's tight. I can't even fit the 27 thousandths in there. So we're going to loosen our jam knot. We're going to run that out. Then we're going to stick our 27 thousandths feeler gauge. And again, these can be stubborn, so you got to kind of work from behind. And yeah, I have 2 stacked up because I don't want to run to the store to buy one. And we're going to run it in. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. That's pretty good. So we're going to run our jam knot down. And now, again, we want to tighten that without that ratchet moving. So you're turning the jam knot this way, but you're holding that steady. So being that I don't have my camera partner in crime here, we're going to keep going. All right, so now we're going to do our Jake. Loosen our jam knot. This is a Allen, but I forgot what size Allen that is. We'll take our Jake tool. This didn't really need that much adjusting. Since we're already doing it, we might as well. I'm happy with that way that's working, so we're gonna go ahead and lock her down. All right, so we got our valves done, got our jake done, 14 thousandths, 27 thousandths, 7mm jake wedge. So we're gonna go to B, and I believe, if my calculations serve me right, that will put us on 153,624, number 5. There's B. Here's the timing mark. And I mark these with the paint pen because usually this balancer gets so crusty that you can't see it and you got to come look for them. There's 1, 5. So we're going to do 5. Actually, I'm going to mark these so that I remember they were done. But now I have to go and run and help Katie, my kid, get some freaking hay. So I'm going to mark number 1. We're going to put our valve cover back on it. I actually have it taped off because I'm going to paint it a different color. We're going to mark these guys, and so that way we know they're done. And retorqued by hand. Now we're going to do number 5. So 1, 5, then we go 3, then we're going to go to 6, then we're going to go 2, we're going to go 4. So get that, we're on B, going in the firing order. 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4. So now we're on 5, which is this guy. Then we're going to do number 3 when we go to C. Then when we go to A again, we're going to go to 6. Then when we go to B, we're going to go 2, and then we're going to go to 4 on C. It's very simple to do the overhead on these ISXs, especially these common rail ones.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drip, yeah, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.